Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran, and we got some very exciting stuff happening for the warriors. If you're a Fury Warrior, this is your day. But both Arms and Fury Warrior have gotten a couple changes. There are some prod changes, but not enough for us to cover in this video. So today I want to take a look at everything that's happening new with the Warrior, as Blizzard even put up a blue post about all the things they're changing and why they're changing. So I want to go over all the changes, show you guys what the playstyle is going to look like as the Warrior class is going to progress further. In these, I'm actually super excited. This is mostly going to explore in Fury, but we are going to dive into Arms Warrior first. The changes are not massive, but we want to take a look at them and then test them. And then we'll be doing some more Fury Warrior stuff. Now the question is, these train dummies way too big for me? You got level 52, level 54. I think this one actually might be... Yeah, I actually do not miss any of my abilities with this one. So that's not the worst ever. But yeah, we could totally work with this guy. Okay, that works out for me. I just got a concerned because I had to get to level 59 because I had to do a quest to do something special here. But that's the train dummy we'll be hitting. So that's perfect. That works out really well. So starting off with the Arms Warrior, what does the Arms Warrior class get? First of all, mastery change for the Arms Warrior. You know, we all like the bleed, but let's be honest, why is the bleed the biggest hitting ability for Arms Warrior? I think it'd be cool if it was one of the maybe harder hitting abilities, but not the hardest hitting ability. Come on, it's not a feral druid. So Blizzard changed the mastery for Arms Warrior a little bit. So now the mastery reads Mortal Strike, Cleave, Ravager, or if you have Blade Storm. So Mortal Strike, Cleave, Blade Storm, not Execute, which is interesting. Inflict deep wounds, dealing a bit of bleed damage over 12 seconds, and increasing the damage the enemy takes from you by 17%. This is modified by your mastery. So the bleed is taking a step back, and instead your mastery, whenever you get the bleed on an enemy, the enemy is more susceptible to your damage. So all the other abilities you throw out after you hit him with your Mortal Strike, the enemy just takes more damage from everything. So that's going to be the biggest change for the mastery. And also another thing you notice as well is the mastery only applies for your Mortal Strike, Cleave, or Ravager. And Cleave is a talent, Ravager is a talent, but if you swap out from Ravager to like Anger Management, it should be replaced to Blade Storm. So this means that Mortal Strike as an ability is going to be a lot more important even if you are executing. Normally, your execute would give you the mastery as well. And in the sense, when the enemy is super low on health, all you have to do is replace your Mortal Strike with just execute. So you would execute, Colossus Smash for big damage, and maybe overpower if you don't have enough rage for an ability. But now Mortal Strike maintains its play in usefulness even during execute moments. I mean, they'll still have the Blade Storm. You'll still be able to cleave if cleave hits multiple targets. Or actually, it looks like cleave applies bleed no matter who it hits. So that's pretty interesting. But yeah, so now Mortal Strike is going to retain its relevance in the playstyle even during executes. Next thing, Blizzard also increased execute damage by 20%. That's awesome. Mortal Strike damage reduced by 5%, which I feel like is just for the balancing options. Ravager has also been redesigned. So Ravager now does replace Blade Storm. Originally they made it so that Blade Storm and Ravager were two separate abilities, but Ravager now does replace Blade Storm. Blade Storm does about almost 4,000 damage over 5.4 seconds. Ravager does a little bit less. It is going to have a 45-second cooldown, so very short, and it will apply deep wounds to enemies just like Blade Storm, but this will generate rage as where this ability doesn't. So this is something can be used alongside your abilities. Another thing that Blizzard made with Ravager is it will actually, I think, follow your targets. So it was designed to give it more identity, 45-second cooldown, and Ravager should apparently follow the enemy. I don't really know how that's going to work. Let's see if we could drop Ravager on the target. Will Ravager actually move towards the target I'm hitting? Well, it's supposed to. Yeah, it's moving. You can actually see the fact that Ravager is getting closer to my target little by little. So in terms of PvE or PvP, this ability will at least travel with you. So that'll be nice. There are some moments where a tank, let's say, will pull a bunch of enemies to an area. You'll drop down a Blizzard, or I guess in some cases, Ravager. And the tank will just walk away with the packs, and Ravager is still spinning. So at least it will try to adjust. Which I think is kind of cool. I wonder if that'll be brought to Mage's Blizzard. I think Mages would actually like that. If, let's say, whatever your main target is, it will try to follow that target. So if it'll be like an enemy in between, in like a pack of mobs, and the tech needs to move over for mechanics, then Blizzard will slowly at least follow the enemy. It'll be better than nothing. Some of the other changes that Blizzard has done is also change collateral damage to be a little bit different. Collateral damage, when Sweep and Strikes ends, your next whirlwind deals 25% damage, and for each ability used, increased damage for each ability used during Sweep and Strikes that damaged a second enemy. So that's an interesting one. So if I'm standing right about here, will I be able to cleave that second target? I don't think I will be able to. Yeah, I don't think I'm actually able to cleave a second target. I don't know if this counts, because the enemies are not close enough. But during the Sweep and Strikes, or at the end of Sweep and Strikes, my Whirlwind should do extra damage. No, it actually does have some damage stored up, so Whirlwind can hit for 1,000 damage. Oh, that's interesting. So if, let's say, you use Whirlwind in order to cleave two targets, at the end you should be able to build up a very powerful hit that could be used for single target or AoE. This is going to be an interesting change that makes its ability less of just passive refunds, but rather a more interesting option. And of course there's Cleave. So Cleave will be your option for if you want to go for big Warbreaker to activate Colossus Smash on everybody. Or if you want to go for collateral damage to build up for a very powerful Whirlwind afterwards. Or just play Cleave to get that bleed on everybody. Replaces Sweep and Strikes, so no longer will you be able to Sweep and Strike, which feels weird, but this gives you a more viable, ready option if you're cleaving multiple enemies. Strikes up to 5 enemies in front of you, doing physical damage, inflicting deep wounds, so all of them will take that mastery extra damage from you. Cleave will consume your overpower to deal damage, so you can kind of in some way replace your Mortal Strike with Cleave. I mean, you can hit both, but Cleave will do damage to enemies in front of you, and it will apply the bleed, but also the overpowers. It'll gain extra damage from your overpower, so have one single overpower and also make this ability hit harder, whereas Mortal Strike with a single overpower will deal 1,400 damage. This ability will do about 727. So on 3 targets, it's going to be more value for you on 3 targets to invest those overpowers into a Cleave. At 2 of them, it's now 849 damage versus 1,700. So as long as you cleave 3 targets or more, you'll actually gain more value than you would get from a Mortal Strike if you're hitting multiple enemies. So that's going to be interesting. It's kind of surprising that they replaced Sweep and Strikes with this ability, but it's cool that Blizzard is at least playing around with this stuff. I think people in the alpha will be able to play this and give their opinions whether this is good or not, but I'm a huge fan, first of all, of the mastery change for Arms Warrior. Massive fan, because honestly, mastery bleed was cool and it's effective right now, but it always felt weird because I never really thought of Arms Warrior like as a feral druid. So why should my bleed damage be my hardest hitting ability when it comes to the actual fight and looking at the details at the end? And this change is going to be nice. It'll make your Mortal Strikes and Executes be the hard hitter ability. It really does give Mortal Strike a little bit of like reason as to why you want to use it all the time as a warrior too. And that's gonna feel, I actually think it's gonna be pretty good. Now with Fury Warrior, we have ourselves the OG build, the 2-handers, as per expected. But without teasing you guys for too much, we're gonna try the Happy Surprise. What are these? These are 1-handers. And these are abilities that you can use, finally, with 1-handers. So Fury Warriors, rejoice. If you are someone who was very excited about this, Single-Minded Fury, as well as Titan's Grip, are back. With Titan's Grip, you get the advantage of dual-wielding 2 massive weapons. And even here in the title, or in the tooltip, it says, 2-handed weapons deal more damage and provide more stamina and strength than 1-handed weapons. However, Single-Minded Fury, dual-wielding a pair of 1-handed weapons, your damage done is increased by 8%, and your movement speed is increased by 5%. So this is going to be an interesting draw for warriors. Do you go for the extra movement speed and 8% damage, or do you go for the extra health and massive 2-handers? And this is also going to allow for your warriors a little bit of a play between weapons. Let's say there's a certain weapon in a dungeon or in a raid that has an extra bonus effect, which might influence you as a Fury Warrior whether you have 2-handers or 1-handers. And this gives you so much more room in terms of types of gear that is able to get from dungeons and raids in terms of what's possible to roll. So this is going to be actually quite cool. And I wonder if Fury Warriors will end up doing like 2-hand for PvP, or, you know, 1-handers for PvE, or maybe flip of that, or a mixture of both. And it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But this is cool. So single-minded Fury is back, and we are going to be looking at a warrior with a single-minded Fury. I have not yet tested the damage of any of the abilities, as one of my weapons is actually stronger than the 2-handers. So I think it might skew things a little. So I'm not here to really test the numbers. But I want to showcase you everything that is new, so that happened. Some of your other abilities and baseline things. Recklessness now has 40 rage cost to it. If I change up a talent, then you'll be able to see it. But if you go to anger management, instead of reckless abandon, recklessness now generates 40 rage. So as an ability, which is still on GCD, it'll generate 40 rage. And while the ability is on GCD, at least you can, you know, pop it in charge at the same time and generate quite a lot of rage in the opener, so it can really let you get your rotation up and running. So at least there's that. Frenzy is a new talent. We'll take a look at that one first. Frenzy, we have right here in level 30 row. So Frenzy, what does that do? Frenzy is going to make it where Rampage increases your haste by 3% for 12 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. This effect is reset if you Rampage a different primary target. So in a fight where there's a big boss that you'll want to try to do as much rage to, or as much damage to, as long as that is your primary target, so you are allowed to cleave, then you'll have a stack and haste buff, which is going to be kind of nice. That's quite a bit of, it's quite a good amount of extra haste. And you can maintain it, especially with gear, as we'll get more haste and more stats. You'll be able to have a much easier time maintaining it, let's be honest. But yeah, this is a nice talent. Together with your Enrage, you get 39% haste, which is quite a lot. I mean, that's going to make your playstyle feel very, very fast-paced, very, very smooth. But again, it's going to have limitations of the fact that it's only good on single targets. In the same row, we actually have Onslaught that has also been moved around a little. And Onslaught does quite a bit of damage. We took a look at this ability before. It can only be used while enraged, but it does quite a lot of damage on its own and generates a decent amount of rage. And since you rage so often, it's actually kind of a nice GCD filler. But we've seen this ability before. It just has been moved around in the tree now with Massacre and Frenzy. What else do we have? We now have Seethe as a new talent. Seethe, Bloodthirst generate 2 more rage, or 4 more rage if it critical strikes your primary target. So Bloodthirst generating more rage will make it a little bit more consistent. And with 10 rage that it generates, it'll be much more important and priority for your rotation, especially because normally you bloodthirst to enrage yourself or for a chance to enrage yourself. But now you'll want to prioritize it because of its extra rage that it has. I mean, a single point of Rage and Blow has 12 rage, but you'll want to use Bloodthirst a lot more often. It'll smooth out your basic rotation in terms of the basic 4 buttons that you would normally use as a Fury Warrior in order to get Enrage and get Rampages and really get that ramp playstyle rolling. In that same row, Frothy Berserker has also been changed. Frothy Berserker has a 20% chance to immediately refund 40 rage. So whenever you pop a Rampage, has a chance to grant you back rage. So this whole row plays with rage in some sense. So if I get myself a Rampage, it refunding me rage, so I think it's like a trait right now. It seems to proc quite a bit. I mean, it's a 1 in 5 chance and proc there just now. Let's see if it procs again. If this can proc back to back to back, that'll be really, really strong. But we'll just have to wait and see. I do think that the 1 in 5 chance is fairly low, so maybe something like Seethe will be more consistent. Also, we have on the same row Talent of Cruelty. While in Rage, Rage and Blow deals 20% more damage, has a 30% chance to instantly reset its own cooldown. I think it normally has a 20% chance to instantly reset, so with Cruelty it's up to 30, so it should have a higher chance. But it does more damage only while in Rage, as far as I understand. Yeah, while in Rage, your Rage and Blow does more damage and has a higher chance to reset. So you have the whole row that plays with your Rage generation. You can either have more chances for your Rage and Blow, well, to do more damage while you're enraged, but also to, how much damage does it do more? 1,000? Oh man, that's so much. That's quite a bit actually, because 1,000 damage right now on the alpha is a decent number. Yeah, so maybe with this playstyle you might want to save your charges for Rage and Blow to see if you might be able to get them back. So then you're kind of more reliant on the RNG procs of your Bloodthirst in a way to see if you might get this ability back. Because if it procs back to back to back, I mean, it's quite a bit of damage, let's be honest. But yeah, it's a very interesting row of abilities here. Meat Cleaver also got changed here, level 45. Or Meat Cleaver is back actually. Excuse me, it changed one of the talents. But Whirlwind deals 30% more damage in the next 4 single target attacks will cleave instead of 2. Now this is nice because this means less global spend on using Whirlwind, so you don't have to Whirlwind 2 abilities, Whirlwind 2 abilities. You can kind of Whirlwind and then really get the ramp up going. So if you're trying to like burst enemies in AoE, using Whirlwind just to activate that cleave sometimes felt kind of weird, but now you'll be able to really meat cleaver, maybe like siege breaker, massive rampage into a big old raging blow, and get a lot of damage out. And this could be really good for consistency. Change to Dragon Rosa has been changed a bit. Cooldown reduced to 30 seconds instead of 35. No longer reduces enemies' speeds when it hits, but crits now do 3 times more damage. So you get a charge. If we can get ourselves in rage, I want to see if this ability crits because it does a lot of damage when it crits. Let's see if it's possible. Rampage. Yeah, 5,000 is a big number. I have 19,000 health, so I'm almost at 20,000. So 5,000 is a fourth of my health bar. That's how big this hit is. 5,000 is a big hit on the alpha right now. So this ability crits and it could blow people up. Blade Storm's damage has also been increased by 20% only for Fury Warriors. So this ability was kind of weak prior, but they want to make it a little bit stronger. So this ability should do quite a bit as well. Reckless Abandon is the last challenge we have to take a look at, because now Reckless generates 20 more rage and transforms Bloodthirst and Raging Blow into an empowered version of those abilities. This will happen very, very quickly, but I want to show you. Recklessness, Bloodbath, really short cooldown, and then we can do these little charges with the other ability for Crushing Blow. So yeah, everything. So it kind of become like a mini Demon Hunter, I guess is the best way to put it, with Fury Warrior. If you are playing Reckless Abandon, you buff yourself so you generate more rage, granting your abilities 20% increased chance to crit. So you're enraged with Mastery, generating more rage, 20% more to crit, and now your abilities are empowered where Raging Blow and Bloodthirst become kind of like the Annihilate and the Blade Dance Metamorphosis version for Demon Hunter, and it's really, really cool. It has like actual interactive elements like the little charge you could chase after enemies, and Bloodbath you could use in order to still do the healing element of it, but it's a much shorter cooldown, so it kind of just like makes Raging Blow and Bloodthirst modified versions a priority during your Recklessness, which is really, really cool. And honestly, just a really cool design. Really, really cool concept. So together for Fury Warrior, you just become this kind of like mad god of just damage. Whether you play the massive two-handers or if you are just playing a bunch of one-handers. But overall, it feels kind of good, honestly, to play the full build of one-handers. Overall, I'd say Fury Warriors actually feel quite good. I've even ran a dungeon, and the one-handers don't feel any different than the two-handers. This is really cool, and it's going to have a cool transmog options, but it's also going to, I think, have meaningful combat options, which I'm very excited about. We'll have different playstyles based on weapons that you run and different builds, and oh goodness, if you have dungeon weapons with specific effects that will influence certain playstyles, like a one-hander or a two-hander playstyle or one another, that's going to be very interesting to see as well. Overall, I gotta say, warrior changes are actually really cool. Actually super excited, super dope, and huge fan. Overall, yeah, very excited. Cannot wait. Definitely going to be a class out level as an alt. Maybe one of the very first few alts in Shadowlands, because warriors are looking really fun right now. I really like some of the abilities that brought back for them, and further iterations right now on the class so far actually got me super excited. So thank you guys so much for checking out this video. You let me know your thoughts about warriors. What do you think about the Fury changes and arms changes in this video? Let me know in the comments below. I'm super excited. Let me know how you feel about it as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see all of you in another video.